Hello everyone, Urkel here. I'm here among the lilacs. Aren't they pretty? They smell so good. I like these plants a lot. They come out in the spring. But I'm here to tell you today about plants in your garden that can make your dog sick. There are lots of them. I was horrified to find out how many. I'm just going to tell you about the most common ones. In the springtime, there are plants that come up early, and they're called tulips. They grow from a bulb, kind of like an onion that is in the ground, and then the leaves and stems and flowers come out from that. And after it's finished flowering, it goes back to sleep. And the bulb gets some strength, and then the next year, it all happens over again. It's great for gardeners, but it's not so good for dogs if we eat them. If we eat those oniony-looking bulbs, we can get really, really sick, and even if we eat other parts of that plant. Another plant that comes from bulbs around the same time are daffodils. They look like a yellow sunflower with a trumpet sticking out of it, or maybe a cup and saucer on its side. They're really pretty to look at, but they can make us sick too. Later on, not much later, a little bit later in the spring, these little short plants with dangly stems with little white bells on it, or else they look like little puffy sleeves, or maybe little bloomers. They're called lily of the valley. They smell so sweet, but if we eat them, we can get sick too. And even later on, there's a vine that grows up, and it has the most beautiful blue flowers, like little pieces of sky that fell down. They're called morning glories, and they bloom in the daytime, and then at nighttime the blooms fade. But if they drop off and we eat them off the ground, we can get really sick too. Oh, it's sad to think of all these pretty flowers that can make doggies sick. And then later in the summer, people put plants out in their patios or on their porches. And one of the most popular looks like red pom-poms made out of little flowers. And their leaves are kind of round, and they have a round sort of purplish stripe on them. These are called geraniums. And very, very popular plants. But they can also make us very sick. I don't know. I think it's mean that something so pretty can make us feel so bad. And it's not even just out of doors that this is a problem. Indoors, too, there are plants that can make us sick. You know, in Easter time, people have pots of lilies, and they're so beautiful. They look like they're made out of white porcelain. But those are really bad for dogs if we eat them. And at Christmas time, those pretty red flowers called poinsettias that everybody gives each other as gifts, yeah, those are the usual suspects, too. They look really tasty. They look the color of candy, but they can just make us so ill. It's not funny. It's like a minefield out there, people, if you're a doggy in a garden. Now, humans, if you have these plants in your garden, I'm not telling you to dig them up and throw them away, but just be cautious if your dog is outside. If you see your dog trying to taste some of these things, please train him not to do that. And tell her that it's bad for her. If it's really a problem, maybe you will choose to take those plants away. We don't want your dog to get sick. Some of these are bad for cats too, but, well, cats can look after themselves. Cats. Well, I'm talking about dogs. It's time to talk about dogs. Yes, dogs. Don't let your dogs eat these plants or they will get sick. And if your dog does eat these plants and get sick, please take them to the veterinarian right away. We don't like to go to the vet, but it's better than being sick, that's for sure. It's a minefield, like I said. So anyway, thank you for listening to me talk about these plants that can make your dog sick. Yeah, and if you have a dog that doesn't chew things well, that's wonderful. You're very fortunate. But if you have a dog that thinks that everything that falls on the floor is theirs to eat, please be watchful and mindful of the plants that you have around. Okay? Thanks for listening. I love you. And love your dogs. Tickle their ears. Give them a good dinner. And protect them from toxic plants. Bye for now.